sure that the community knows how valuable the district is to the community, not just as some buildings where kids go and spend 6 hours a day, but how important you are to the community, that not only the economic impact that the district have, but the impact that you have on property values, the impact that you have on the quality of life in a community are very substantial. And we just need to, as a district, have some communications to those folks out in the community. Again, just reminding them just how important the schools are to them, even if they don't have a child or a grandchild in school. So the first steps that we take when we get involved in a district is that look at what your current communications are. Do you send monthly email blasts? Do you have a district newsletter? What are your current modes of communication, and how can we enhance those? And enhance them with maybe different messages that once again reaches that person in the community that doesn't have a child or a grandchild in school. So it's great that the 3rd grade spelling bee won the national championship, but if I don't have a child or a grandchild in school, I'm not really that concerned with how the spelling bee team did. So you have to make you have to find those message points that touches all the members of the community, and that's part of the work that we do on the front end. Again, is looking at that communications and how can we help you enhance that communication. One of the other things that we suggest, but certainly it's not because it is an additional expense, is a survey. And that's a poll, if you will. And that's to go out and give you a snapshot of what the community does think, of those that in the community that doesn't have a child or a grandchild in school. What do they think about the district? Do they think that the quality of education is good? Do they think that the administration gets paid too much? Do they think that the athletic facilities are not nice enough? It's one of those things that you can get an idea of what the community out there thinks about the district and how you're doing in all aspects. Are you being good stewards of the tax dollars? Are you educating our kids well? What, how's the district doing? And again, it gives us an opportunity to get that gut check, if you will, of folks in the community that may or may not have a child in school. So that's something that those surveys run about $7,000, and again, that would be outside of our fees because we have a vendor that we work with that does that. It's something that we put on the table that is an option for districts to do, but certainly that's not mandatory to do in your communications. And then the other thing is community meetings. There are meetings going on in this community, whether it's Neighborhoods Association, the Lions Club, the Elks Club, the VFW is having different meetings. And we just encourage the district to have a group of folks that says, you know what, I'll go to that meeting, and whether or not you make a presentation or you say anything at all, it's just that the district is there. I want folks, businesses, and meetings to say every time I turn around, there's somebody from the school there, because again, it allows you that opportunity to be out there, be visible, and be engaged. If somebody has a question, has an example of that, I was with Superintendent Jane at Middlebury today. And she was talking about that she was at the bank ringing the bell for the Salvation Army, and she had a farmer come up and ask, "Hey, I've been hearing about this athletic complex. Can you tell me, explain?" And she said she spent there 15 minutes ringing the bell talking to this community member about some misinformation about the athletic complex that was going on. And so that kind of opportunity just to be out and be seen is one that we encourage folks from the district to do. Again, just to show the community that you are engaged with them, that you are an active member of the community as a district. And we think that is important. Again, as I talked about looking at your current communications, if you don't do a district newsletter, I'm going to encourage that you consider it. Once again, it allows you an opportunity to have something that you mail out to the residents, and your messages can be, here's some school related stuff, and then there's also some stuff going on in the community that once again makes that connection between the district and the community, and not just the district and school and kids and parents and staff. You're more than that, and we want to continue to try to find different ways to share that communication. One thing that I will suggest that you evoke, if you saw this in my thing, the Gold Card program, and it's something that I can't take credit for it, but when we first started doing these referendums, Beech Grove in Marion County was one of our first schools. Paul Kaiser's the superintendent down there, and we have to give Dr. Kaiser the credit for coming up with this concept. But what it is, it's a pass that you offer to members of your community over a certain age. We say 60, you can say 65, whatever you want to be. But you offer them, normally the superintendent or the board would send a letter to those individuals in the community and offer them this gold card. And this is just a pass that they can come to school events for free. They can come to the play, they can come to the basketball game. But it just allows you the opportunity to offer something to someone in the community who may or may not have a child in school because of their age. They may or may not have been in the school since 1984. And some of that, even if it's a $6 ticket or a $10 ticket, that could be a limitation for somebody to not come to an event. Again, I'll reference Middlebury. They just implemented this, and the superintendent said at the last ball game they recognized 44 gold cards that had been used to come to that event. So that's 44 people that may or may not would have came, but yet because of this, they came. And again, I like to say we take stuff off the table. So if I'm in the community, I don't have a connection to the school doesn't ever offer me anything, the school doesn't do anything for me. I offered you a pass that you could come to every event at the school for free. Oh, that's right. I mean, so it's one of those things that it takes that off the table, that the school they don't do anything for me, or I don't have any. So again, if you don't go to a referendum, if you don't hire me, if you don't do anything, I would strongly urge you to consider implementing some fashion of a gold card program, just because it has been so successful and it's such a good tool for the district, once again, to say thank you to a population in the community that's so important to any community. So again, that's something that as we move forward that I would encourage you to do. And then the last thing is social media. Whatever you're currently doing on social media, I encourage you to keep it up. But more importantly, if you do choose at some point to go to a referendum, this is going to be where all the misinformation and all the unfactual things about what you're going to try to do are going to get really beat up. Superintendent, you don't know this, but if you get ready to go to a referendum, you are going to be a millionaire. I can assure you, it will be on the internet because that's
it comes true, right?
Well, I don't know about that. I haven't seen it come true yet, but I've seen it predicted several times over. But social media will be our friend and will be our nemesis if we come to a referendum, because it really is. This last cycle, this last November when we had the elections, it was the worst referendums had done since they started. Referendums have been passing at about a 75% rate. In 2019, that was 54%. And it really, I saw it directly. It was an increase in the really amount of really truly negative stuff on social media, and none of it was true. But as a district, every time you guys say something, you have to be 100% right, because if you're not, somebody's going to find out, ha, see, I told you they weren't telling us the truth. They're hiding something from us. So you have to be truthful and right 100% of the time. You'll find out on this, they don't ever have to be right, and normally ever are. But that's the nature of social media and what we'll have to combat. So your social media activity is one that you need to really have in place and be aggressive on. But if you move forward to the next step, it's where we're really going to see the trouble and where we're going to have our biggest fight is on social media. And so as a firm, as you guys all know, the district cannot spend resources to promote the referendum. So what my firm does, it's a two-cycle thing. We are engaged with the district, our contractors with the school district, and we, again, work with you on your communications and your outreach and try to enhance that and do all these things that I just talked about. And then when you're, as a board, has your meeting where you pass the resolution that we're moving forward with the referendum, then I'm no longer an employee or work for the district. I become a full-time volunteer for the Political Action Committee, which will have to be formed, that will run the campaign for the district. So there'll be a PAC formed, Political Action Committee, which is comprised of members of the community, and there again, that will be the group that runs the campaign. That will be the group that will have to be responsible for raising the money to buy the bumper stickers, yard signs, t-shirts, whatever it is that as a campaign we think we need to be successful, direct mail or flyers that we pass out, all those things, elements of a campaign. The Political Action Committee will be responsible for raising those dollars to do that. And of course, the legislature in their wisdom have put all kinds of restrictions on who can be active in the PAC, where you can be active, who can give, who can't give to the PAC. So there are a lot of those things that we'll work through. But that is the Political Action Committee is really the makeup of that group is critical to success. That group needs to look like your community. And it needs to be made up of folks that when I look at the list of folks on the PAC and I see somebody's name, oh, they're involved in that, then that must be the right thing to do, because what they're involved with is usually the right thing for the community. And so the makeup of that PAC will be pretty critical as you move forward as well. Again, what we will do, what I will do as a volunteer for the PAC is work backwards from the election. Take election day and work backwards and kind of create what we call a practical planner. And it's basically a syllabus of all the things that we know that we want to get done. It'll be a working document. We'll add to it constantly, but it'll be some of those basic things on there so that nothing falls through the cracks. An example, we want to put yard signs in the ground October 1st. We want them to go in the ground October 1st. Well, in the practical planner, in the 1st of September, it's going to say order yard signs, so that we know that we want to put the yard signs in the ground here, so let's make sure that we order them in time, that we can get them, so that we can put them in the ground on October 1st. So it'll be it'll be our guide, and it'll be an accountability form. Another example, we'll have, within the PAC, there'll be different coordinators, the volunteer coordinator, social media coordinator. Well, on the practical planner, on week 1, volunteer coordinator, update. And so we update volunteer coordinator, how many volunteers have we got? I haven't got any yet, but I will get to it next meeting. Volunteer coordinator, what's your report? How many volunteers you got? Well, I don't have any yet. Well, by that second time, we may get an assistant volunteer coordinator because again, it's one of those ways that we can make sure that stuff is not falling through the cracks, and if there's things that need to get done, that we're tracking and doing it. Our Bible, and any Bible that will be used for election, is the Indiana voter file, because you have to be a registered voter to participate in the election. So we will move forward and do an analysis of your district to see who's registered, who's not, especially your parents and staff, because clearly those should be our biggest allies, because they're the ones that see the direct benefit from it. So we will encourage as much parents and staff voter registration as possible, and also your students, all the students that will be 18 on the day of the election, they will be allowed to also vote. Another quick note, we worked in Hebron, Indiana. They had had a referendum and had failed. It lost by 6 votes. They hired us. We came in the next year and worked with the group. We encouraged voter registration of the students. We had 47 students registered to vote. The referendum passed by 23 votes. So we told that story to students, because if you think your vote doesn't count, those 47 students that voted, hopefully they all voted yes, they passed that referendum by 23 votes. And so that number of students that we can register to vote is critical, that we don't let any of those go uncounted or untapped. So voter registration is one that we focus on, targeted, because again, you just don't want to do willy-nilly registration, because you don't know if you're somebody that is a supporter of the district or not. But yet voter registration to the right people is pretty important and targeted. This last thing here is just a copy of a direct mail piece that we would use. You know, we used a former mayor, former police chief, very well liked in the community. We used a quote from him to talk about the importance of the district, because that's what in the campaign we will use third-party validators, somebody that's not associated with the district, saying how important this is, because people in the community might see you guys, well, of course you're going to say the referendum's important because you work for the school, you're at school every day. But what we need to have is voices from outside the school saying, hey, this is important to us too, and here's why. Really, in the referendum, the question becomes, whatever your status in this community are, if you're a single mom, you're a single dad, you're a parent, you're a retired person, the question that we have to provide the answer to is, why should I vote yes for this? Why should I vote yes for this? And you have to be able to answer that from every perspective in the community. Every voter that's going to ask that question, why should I vote yes for this? And we as a group have to be able to, here's why, thank you for asking that. It's good, you know, your property, your home is your 401k. Ask realtors when they're trying to sell a home in the community, what's one of the first questions that's asked? Tell me about the quality of the schools that potential buyers ask. So